Anti-Simon Commission upsurge. So we are going to study about what was this Simon Commission and why it was appointed in India. So in this lesson we will study about the background of the Simon Commission, then why was the upsurge against this Simon Commission, that is the anti-Simon Commission upsurge, then what was the Nehru report, then what were the recommendations of the Nehru report, then we will study about the Delhi proposals, then Jinha's proposals, then conclusion of Nehru report, then Delhi manifesto, and we will study about the Lahore session of Congress. So first let's start with the background of the Simon Commission. So there was a chorus of protest by all Indians against the appointment of an all-white 7-member Indian Statutory Commission, popularly known as the Simon Commission, okay, after the name of its chairman, Sir John Simon. So Sir John Simon was the chairman of this commission, which was there were 7 members, and Sir John Simon was the chairman of this commission. That's why it was called as a Simon Commission, and it was appointed on 8 November 1927, and it was an all-white commission. That means there was no Indian in this commission. So there was a chorus of protest by all Indians against the appointment of this commission. Why? Because Lord Birkenhead, who had constantly talked of the inability of Indians to formulate a concrete scheme of constitutional reforms which had the support of wide sections of Indian political opinion, was responsible for the appointment of the commission. So Lord Birkenhead had appointed this Simon Commission. So the commission was to recommend to the government whether India was ready for further constitutional reforms and on what lines. So this was its responsibility. It was appointed mainly to focus and to study this type of that is India ready for the constitutional reforms, and if it is ready, then on what lines. Okay, so what angered the Indians most was the exclusion of Indians from the commission. There was no Indian in this commission because Indians said that if the commission is coming to study the Indian situation, there should be an Indian in the commission. So the basic notion behind the exclusion was that foreigners would discuss and decide upon India's fitness for self-government, and this angered mostly the Indian nationalist leaders and all the leaders from India. So the Congress session in Madras, December 1927, meeting under the presidency of M.A. Ansari, decided to boycott the commission at every stage and in every form. In Madras session, remember this, December 1927, Congress session of Madras, it was decided that the commission should be boycotted at every stage and in every form, and the president of this session was M.A. Ansari. So meanwhile, Nehru succeeded in getting a snap resolution passed at the session declaring complete independence as the goal of the Congress. It was a snap resolution, it was not a resolution which was fully declared by the Congress. And the Purna Swaraj was actually declared in different session. So we are going to study about that, don't worry. So this was the Simon Commission, and it was decided to boycott this Simon Commission in every stage and in every form. So the commission landed in Bombay on 3 February 1928. And on that day, a countrywide hartal was organized and mass rallies held. So wherever the commission went, there were black flag demonstrations, hartals and slogans of Simon go back. Simon Wapas Jao. Okay, so these were the slogans which were given against the Simon Commission, and people were showing Simon Commission the black flags. The black flag demonstrations were there, hartals were going on, and here you can see the image. Simon go back, the rally is going on and people are holding the placards displaying Simon go back. So the police came down heavily on demonstrators, and there were lathi charges, not sparing even the senior leaders. Okay, and Lala Lajpat Rai received severe blows on his chest in October 1928, which proved fatal, and he died on 17 November 1928. Okay, so he died while demonstrating. There was a lathi charge in the procession, anti-Simon procession, and he died due to the lathi charge actually. And that's why when the early revolutionaries the revolutionaries in 1920s were angry, Bhagat Singh, Sukhdev, Rajguru, they were angry, and they shot down the Saunders, who was actually responsible for the lathi charge in that demonstration. Okay, so Lala Lajpat Rai died during this anti-Simon demonstration. This may be a question in our exam. Remember this. So this anti-Simon Commission upsurge was going on, and report of the Simon Commission was published in May 1930. So it stated that the constitutional experiment with diarchy was unsuccessful, and in its place the report recommended the establishment of autonomous government, and this report also became the basis for enacting the Government of India Act of 1935. So on the basis of Simon Commission report, in the Government of India Act of 1935 was enacted. So Nehru report was also important because Lord Birkenhead gave challenge to Indians that you Indians cannot come to a conclusion on a common ground on constitutional reforms, or what type of government do you want, what type of autonomy do you want. Okay, so as an answer to Lord Birkenhead's challenge, an all parties conference met in February 1928 and appointed a subcommittee under the chairmanship of Motilal Nehru to draft a constitution. So actually Lord Birkenhead was saying that it is not possible to give India the type of government they are demanding, because Indian leaders cannot come to a common conclusion and they cannot draft a constitution for themselves, because there are differences among themselves only. So as an answer to the Lord Birkenhead's challenge, an all-party conference met in February 1928 and a subcommittee was appointed, and Motilal Nehru was appointed the chairman of that subcommittee, and it was its responsibility to draft a constitution, okay, which was acceptable to all the parties. So this was the challenge. So this was the major attempt by Indians to draft a constitutional framework for the country. So the report was finalized by August 1928. Now remember, when we speak about Nehru report, it is Motilal Nehru. Okay, it is Motilal Nehru, not Jawaharlal Nehru. It is Motilal Nehru, not Jawaharlal Nehru. Don't get mistaken about this, because there may be a question there. Actually there was a question on this. The Nehru report was finalized by Jawaharlal Nehru. No, the Nehru report was finalized by Motilal Nehru, father of Jawaharlal Nehru. So the report was finalized by August 1928, and the recommendations of the Nehru committee were unanimous except in one respect. That is, while the majority favored the dominion status as the basis of the constitution, a section of it wanted complete independence as the basis, with the majority section giving the latter section liberty of action. So actually the Nehru report was unanimous, that is it was decided with majority, but there was only one difference between the group, and that is one group wanted a dominant status within the British government, but the another group, they wanted the complete independence as the basis of the constitution. So this was the only major difference between the parties in the Nehru report. Remember this. So dominion status on lines of self-governing dominance as the form of government desired by Indians. This was the recommendation of the Nehru report, that is dominion status on lines of self-governing dominance as the form of government desired by Indians. So these were the recommendations of the Nehru report. Then much to the charging of younger militant section who wanted complete independence. So the younger militant section was actually disappointed by that, because the Nehru report talked about the dominion status and did not talk about the complete independence. So rejection of separate electorates, which had been the basis of constitutional reform so far. So the Nehru report rejected the separate electorates and instead a demand for joint electorates with reservation of seats for Muslims at the center and in provinces where they were in minority in proportion to the Muslim population, there with right to contest additional seats. So the Nehru report rejected separate electorates, but instead a demand for joint electorates with reservation of seats for Muslims. So there will be joint electorates and there will be reservation for seats of Muslims at center and in provinces where they were in minority in proportion to the Muslim population, there with right to contest additional seats. So there will be no separate. So according to Nehru report, it said that there will be no separate electorate. Instead of that, there will be joint electorates, and the Muslims will get the seats reserved in the area where they are in minority. Okay, so there will be no seats of reservation in the areas where Muslims are in majority, such as Punjab and Bengal. So the Nehru report talked about only the reservation of seats where Muslims are in minority, but not in the areas like Punjab and Bengal where Muslims were in majority. And the Nehru report also spoke about the linguistic provinces. Then 19 fundamental rights, including equal rights for women, right to form unions, and universal adult suffrage. Okay, so these were the recommendations of the Nehru report. Then a full responsible government at the center along with autonomy to the provinces. So you can write it down in your copy and memorize this thing, because these recommendations are very important. There may be a question on the recommendations of the Nehru report. So again, the Nehru report spoke about a bicameral legislature at the center with clear-cut division of power between the center and provinces. That is different list. Okay, so full protection to cultural and religious interests of Muslims and complete dissociation of a state from religion. So the Nehru report also talks some kind of a secular state. Okay. Secular state. So remember this. These recommendations are very important. So Delhi proposals were given by the faction of Muslims actually. So Nehru report was published, and what happened? Earlier in December 1927, a large number of Muslim leaders had met at Delhi at the Muslim League session. So there was the Muslim League session and evolved 4 proposals for Muslim demands to be incorporated in the draft constitution. Now Nehru report was published, and it was actually the draft of the constitution, because it was an all party meeting and it was decided by all the parties, and Nehru was the Motilal Nehru was the chairman of that committee, and then it gave the report that is it was a draft constitution. But there was a slight amendment the Muslim League wanted a slight amendment in that drafted constitution. So Muslim leaders met at Delhi in the Delhi session of the Muslim League, and they put forward 4 proposals for the Muslims in the constitution. So these proposals, which were accepted by the Madras session of the Congress, came to be known as the Delhi proposals. Okay, so these proposals, which were accepted by the Madras session of Congress, okay, came to be known as Delhi proposals. And what were these Delhi proposals? Joint electorates in place of separate electorates with reserved seats for Muslims. 1/3 representation to Muslims in Central Legislative Assembly. So Muslims wanted 1/3 representation to Muslims in the Central Legislative Assembly. Then representation to Muslims in Punjab and Bengal in proportion to their population. And formation of 3 new Muslim majority provinces, that is Sindh, Balochistan and Northwest Frontier Province. However, the Hindu Mahasabha was vehemently opposed to the proposals for creating new Muslim majority provinces and reservation for seats for Muslims majority in Punjab and Bengal, which would ensure Muslim control over legislature in both. So now the Delhi proposals which were given by the Muslim League, that was actually not accept, the 2 of them was not acceptable to Hindu Mahasabha. So actually these politicians were proving right to the Lord Birkenhead, because Birkenhead was saying that Indian leaders cannot come to a common conclusion about a constitution, about the future India. So the Indian leaders were proving Birkenhead as right. So Muslim League gave these 4 proposals, that is Delhi proposals, from which 2 were not acceptable to Hindu Mahasabha. So what was the 2? So that is proposal for creating new Muslim majority provinces. So Hindu Mahasabha opposed to this, and then again the Hindu Mahasabha also opposed to the reservation of seats for Muslims in Punjab and Bengal, because they said that already Muslims were in majority in Punjab and Bengal, so there should be no reservation in seats for Muslims in Punjab and Bengal. So that's why Hindu Mahasabha opposed it. So the concessions made in the Nehru report to Hindu communists included the following, that is joint electorates proposed everywhere, but reservations for Muslims only were in minority. So that is, the Muslims will not get joint reservation of seats in Punjab and Bengal. So Sindh to be detached from Bombay only after dominant status was granted and subject to weightage to Hindu minority in Sindh. So this was actually given for the Hindu Mahasabha, and political structure proposed was broadly unitary as residual powers rested with the center. So these were the concessions which were given to the Hindu Mahasabha. Now Jinnah did not agree that. Jinnah was rigid. Jinnah said, no, we want reservation in the Punjab and Bengal also, where we are in majority. So he also again gave his proposal. So these proposals are called Jinnah's proposals. So in the course of the deliberations of the all parties conference, the Muslim League disassociated itself and stuck to its demands for reservation of seats for Muslims, especially in central legislature and in Muslim majority provinces. So these were the demands. Actually the Muslim League and Jinnah, they were adamant and they were not ready to compromise anything. So at the all parties conference held at Calcutta in December 1928 to consider the Nehru report, Jinnah on behalf of the Muslim League proposed 3 amendments to the report, and these 3 amendments were 1/3 representation to Muslims in central legislature, and a reservation to Muslims in Bengal and Punjab legislatures proportionate to their population till adult suffrage was established. So that means Jinnah was demanding reservation for Muslims in Bengal and Punjab legislature also, and residual powers to provinces. So these were three demands which were put forward by Jinnah. So on these demands not being accommodated, Jinnah went back to the Shafi faction of the Muslim League and in March 1929 gave 14 points which were to become the basis of all future propaganda of the Muslim League. So Muslim League, let me clearly tell you, see, there was all party meeting. In this all party meeting, all parties came and they appointed a subcommittee. Okay, so there was a subcommittee and this subcommittee's chairman was Motilal Nehru. Motilal Nehru. Now he drafted a report and this report was called Nehru report. Okay, but Delhi proposals came into this Nehru report and in this they gave four demands, 1, 2, 3, 4, and two of them was not acceptable to Hindu Mahasabha. Okay, here came Hindu Mahasabha and here is Muslim League. Okay, so Muslim League gave four recommendations to this Nehru report, but two of them, that is 1 and 2, were not acceptable to Hindu Mahasabha, and these two were, that is separate, that is one was separate creation of the Muslim provinces and the second one was, that is separate provinces and the second one was the Hindu Mahasabha did not wanted to give reservation of seats in Punjab and Bengal. Okay, so this was not acceptable to Hindu Mahasabha. So that's it. That's all about this, whatever the drama was going on. And then again Jinnah came and Jinnah also gave these three proposals, and when these three proposals were not accepted by the Nehru report, then he went to the Shafi group and then they decided that 14 points, and then that 14 points became the future basis of the future propaganda of the Muslim League. Okay, so what was the conclusion of this Nehru report? What happened finally? So not only were the Muslim League but the Hindu Mahasabha and the Sikh communalists were also unhappy about the Nehru report. So the younger section of the Congress led by Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Bose were also angered, and they expressed their disaffection with the dominant status as the goal of Congress. Now Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, they wanted complete independence, but Nehru report was speaking about dominant status. So that's why the younger section of the Congress was also not happy. The Muslims were also not happy with the Nehru report. The Hindu Mahasabha was also not happy with the Nehru report, and the Sikh communalists were also not happy with the Nehru report. So instead, the younger nationalists, they demanded that Congress adopt Purna Swaraj or complete independence as its goal. Okay, so this was the demand of the nationalist, that younger nationalist. So Delhi Manifesto is important. So that was all about the Nehru report. So what was the Delhi Manifesto? So on November 2, 1929, a conference of prominent national leaders issued a Delhi Manifesto, and this Delhi Manifesto demanded that the purpose of the round table conferences promised by Lord Irwin should be to formulate a scheme for implementation of the dominant status, that the Congress should have majority representation at the conference, an amnesty and a general policy of conciliation. And Viceroy Irwin rejected these demands on December 23, 1929, which led to the demand of Purna Swaraj in Lahore session of Indian National Congress. So now the young nationalist leaders led by Jawaharlal Nehru and Subhash Chandra Bose, they were pushing for the Purna Swaraj, that is not a dominant status but Purna Swaraj, complete independence. So in the Lahore session of Congress, Jawaharlal Nehru, who had done more than anyone else to popularize the concept of Purna Swaraj, was nominated the president for the Lahore session of the Congress, that is December 1929. And this Lahore session is very important. So the following major decisions were taken at Lahore session. So what were the major decisions taken at the Lahore session? So first was the round table conferences to be boycotted. No one will take participation in the round table conference, and the Congress will stay away from the round table conference. So this was the major decision taken in the Lahore session of Congress. Then complete independence declared as the aim of Congress, that is Purna Swaraj. Now India wants Purna Swaraj. Okay. So complete independence declared as the aim of Congress. Now the aim of Congress was to gain Purna Swaraj, complete independence. And then Congress Working Committee authorized to launch a program of civil disobedience, including non-payment of taxes, and all members of legislatures asked to resign their seats. And January 26, 1930 fixed as the first Independence Day to be celebrated everywhere. So it was decided in Lahore session that 26 January 1930 will be celebrated as the first day of independence everywhere. Okay, so that's why we celebrate 26 January as the Republic Day. This is the reason why, because it was decided earlier that 26 January 1930 will be celebrated as Independence Day, but later on when we got independence on 15th August 1947, so we started celebrating Independence Day on 15th August 1947. But this day was also important because on this day we decided to celebrate Independence Day, but this day is celebrated in India as Republic Day. Okay, so 26 January became Republic Day. So December 31, 1929 at midnight on the banks of River Ravi, the newly adopted tricolor flag of freedom was hoisted amidst slogans of Inqilab Zindabad. Okay, and on January 26, 1930, the declaration of Purna Swaraj was publicly issued, and that is the reason why we celebrate 26 January as our Republic Day. Why? Because the declaration of Purna Swaraj was publicly issued on this day. So Nehru made an appeal to volunteers across the country to join the civil disobedience movement, in which his own daughter, 12-year-old Indira Gandhi, was the first to volunteer. So Indira was that time of 12 years, and she also volunteered into this civil disobedience movement. Okay, so this is the Lahore session of Congress, and in which we decided that we want Purna Swaraj, complete independence from the British rule. Okay, so that's all about this lesson. In our next lesson, we will study about the civil disobedience movement. This movement is very important from our exam point of view actually, and we will study about the Dandi March. Here we can see the Gandhiji, how Gandhiji started the civil disobedience movement, how he went to Dandi and broke the salt law. Okay, so